Alright, so y'all have accused me of being too soft on media, and yet too harsh as well, but one thing even my haters can agree with you on is that even when I'm making a fool of myself, I'm still being honest about how I feel. And how I feel about this game that I'm about to talk about is that it's honestly kinda messy. What do I mean? Well, A Time Traveler's Guide to Past Delicacies is a game I knew almost nothing about going in, besides the fact that you play as a time traveler that raids the past in order to steal recipes for the future. You're probably wondering why we don't have those recipes in the future already, since they were invented in the past, right? Well, don't worry about it, because it makes more sense as you play. Until then, there are far more pressing parts of the game that needs taken into consideration, like the fact that the cooking is a frustrating experience, where you have to hold a button to drag the food wherever it's supposed to go, but the game doesn't quite register what's going on, so it's a trial and error situation when it should be far easier. If you want to try and speed the process up by catching the food as it falls from these machines, then you're gonna be sorely disappointed whenever it works with a less chance percentage than finding a shiny Pokemon on your first playthrough of Pokemon White without going out of your way to try. Once you have a hold of these food items, sometimes you might just drop them anyway, even if you squeeze the button with such force that you are afraid your fingers are gonna pop out the back like a mentally challenged chest burster. It's infuriating and made even more frustrating by the low gravity physics that cause it to float all over the gosh darn place behind interactable items or just somehow out of your hand's reach. It could be fun if it wasn't such a slog to get through. Once hazards start to pop up, although admittedly interesting, in a fever dream sort of way, they don't change the established drag and drop formula we've come accustomed to, besides whenever they cause the cooking to cut out and be declared as successful even if the workstation flooded and that work was never done. I don't mind that, honestly, but you should have at least attempted to experiment with a divot response once, depending on the outcome. Aside from the cooking though, you also go back in time to walk through some solid objects in order to find recipes and learn some fun facts and lore of the world. Having to keep R1 held down as the man tells me the lore instead of it playing in the background caused me unnecessary pain that made this short game feel like a long experience. Just something quality of life related to keep in mind for future games. If there's a lot of times where you're holding buttons, then maybe add a toggle. If there's a lot of rapid pressing, then maybe add a hold. Stuff like that. Also, I had the solid objects not being solid justification seared into my head. It's a simulation, nothing is solid, nothing is real, because that's what the game implies, until you can't walk through walls or take pictures through walls, causing you to have to walk further for what feels like no reason at all. Or whenever you take something that isn't normally solid and somehow eat it even though it's not solid and it causes ramifications for the world, which makes no sense, but I digress. It is also further represented in areas like this, where it's literally just a random freaking spot on the ground, but since I wasn't close enough to see every leaf on the clovers, I couldn't take a picture. Thanks. I hate it. I get it, this is experimental, but if someone pays $3, then many would rather the game be shorter and more fun than longer and less worth coming back to or even finishing at all. There's also this board game type minigame where you look for fruits and such and hit buttons to unlock areas. There was a tutorial text explanation and everything, but surprise, this might actually be the only time you see it as you play the game. The rules don't even matter at that point. Don't get excited. I like this inclusion by idea alone. I feel like in a longer, fully fleshed out game, they could really go somewhere with this, but it needs some other things added to it as well. But this isn't the place for me to brainstorm ideas. Don't get excited about this little pick your recipe thing here either. There are 3 options, but it's an illusion of choice. There's only one real option. It's a time waster and it just feels like needless padding. Heck, even bringing it up makes me feel like like I'm adding fluff to my video just to reach a higher watch time. That's how insignificant its inclusion truly is. Again, I get y'all may have been experimenting here, but if the addition of something doesn't truly add any sort of enjoyment factor to the game, anything of value to the game, then you may want to consider cutting it out entirely. These moments are a prime example of that. I mean, if we're being real, the cutscenes don't even work quite right either. We have ones like these where I have to click the text box in order to get subtitles for what's being said, and since homie talks like he's a smooth jazz radio host, I need those gosh darn subtitles. By the time my slow one sensitivity fits all gamepad controlled cursor gets over there, I've already missed something that could have been pivotal anyway, which kinda causes me not to care too much about what's being said. I do like the guy's voice, it just felt too quiet at times, and maybe a little bit mumbly. Small nitpick though with the subtitles as a guide, just in case. I enjoy listening to him and think whoever did the voice did a pretty fair job. Maybe he could have been a little bit more expressive at a couple points to hammer them home, but it's a personal preference to get into, so I'll leave it at that. The game's not all bad though, even if I am being really hard on it so far. The designs of the weird back in time guys here, I don't remember what they are called, but the designs of them are actually pretty unique. The fever dream aesthetic, especially towards the end, when things go awry, did keep me in the game till the credits. I thought the sock puppet idea was pretty creative. How they react throughout the game, respond to situations, and get put in real world situations, literally as they are in a game, in a sorta meta type way, I like that as well. The biggest saving grace of this entire trip fest of a kitchen fire is that there is actually heart put into it in noticeable ways. Humor that lands because it feels like it had value to the person that added it in. It was undoubtedly unique, and no matter my problems gameplay wise, I don't want to understate that. If this game had a big budget, more time to create the game that the brains behind it could think up, we could have really had an interesting smash hit on our hands here. But instead, every good idea felt half-baked, broken, and glitchy. I mean that literally too. I glitched the game out so bad I was placed in a mostly black area where someone continued to speak to me for a few minutes before all sound went away and the view on screen was as minimal as it could be before passing off as blank. I can't even recommend it for the trophies either, because I can't figure out how to get them. I don't have the motivation to play the game trial and error and find out, especially whenever the entire reason that glitch happened was because I did something that many others would do as well in order to find some possible secrets. And I've broken the game on a few occasions in my attempt to do this. I don't know. I'm not used to being this hard on games, but when the game itself fundamentally doesn't function, I'm not sure what to really say. I at first thought it was by design, like a so bad it's good type of situation they were actively going for, but it's instead just bad without the good to back it up. Then I saw they called it experimental, but whenever you are selling your game for a profit, I don't really think the experimental excuse is really applicable anymore. Every other experiment build I've been asked to cover has been a free-to-play demo that either a chosen few or literally anyone has access to, not something anyone has ever paid to play. The soundtrack was actually pretty decent though, that's another plus, and I forgot to bring it up. It wasn't like spectacular, but it did its job pretty well for what it was. So yeah, the game is super creative at times and I wanted it to be good, but it's just not for me. I have a lot of love for the mix of styles, the addition of live action in the middle, the usage of sock puppets, the cursed images kinda art. I absolutely adored everything on its own. It's just how it was all executed together that dropped the ball for me. It's experimental, I get it, but when you're selling it, it's a product and I gotta treat it like one. Unless you guys are entirely sure that a game like this is up your alley, or have a few dollars to burn with no care in the world, then you should avoid this one. You are missing out on some creativity, sure, but you aren't missing out on a gameplay experience itself. Just watch someone else play it, or at least wait for a sale. It's just not a recommend from me. To the devs, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry if I came off too harsh, or my wording hurt your feelings. games. It was never my intention, and that's the honest truth. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to review the game. I hope I didn't seem ungrateful or hateful in any regard. I want nothing but the best for everyone involved, but I have to be honest with my audience when I implore them not to buy your game. I want to support your future games. Y'all have a wild imagination, that's clear to me, and I am willing to help in any way that I can at the time. If you respectfully comment down below, explain things, have a rebuttal, etc., then I'll pin it and try to respond. But for more news, reviews, and whatever we choose, stay tuned to Nerdsfeed. Have a great day, thank you.